We do. And we trust the story.
And we trust the story. And we play with the story.
Yes. That's great. So it's kind of interesting because you were asked last week because Paul is gone to sit in his stead. So I think this is the first time where we've had someone who wasn't the preaching pastor come in and
I did preach the children's message.
Well, hey, that's something.
So we got that.
So if you want to fill me in on the children's message, we can start warm up with that and what is behind the children's message.
Yeah. So the theme of the week was that it was people were worried about having attention be on somebody else, that somebody else was having good things happen. So in the reading we had from Numbers 12, it was Moses, the baby brother, was, had really become the key prophetic leader for the Israelite people on this journey through the wilderness, and had been the one to speak with God on the mountaintop, and that his family, his siblings, Aaron and Miriam, had been, they'd played important roles in their journey out of Egypt. Mm-hmm. Aaron was one of the, he was Moses' original spokesman, as Moses was like, I can't talk. God, what are you trying to do to me? Well,
right.
I'm going to send you Aaron. He can talk for you. And so Aaron did. He was called in to be... He was the communications department. He was the communications, a very important department.
Yes.
So how was your weekend, Aaron?
My weekend was good. Yeah. But
and Miriam was a prophet as well. She's talked about in scriptures, also given the title prophet of God, and was one who led the people, who helped celebrate, and as Pastor Paul talked about in a sermon, was one who helped them find the very necessary resource of water.
Yeah, hence water. I'm actually drinking water and
good for you. And so they were feeling, for whatever reason, feeling like they needed to put Moses down. They were, there was some dysfunction there, okay. And as dysfunction often does, it didn't come out directly. Moses, this is our problem with you. It came out indirectly and said, now they're gonna focus on something kind of adjacent to the problem, but not the real problem.
Okay.
And so instead of focusing on what their feelings are about Moses, they start focusing on his wife.
Okay.
And saying, she's not one of us. She's not from here. She's doing things differently. That's a problem.
Okay.
And they, the scriptures say that Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman that he had married. For he had indeed married a Cushite woman. And that's all that they had reduced her to at this point, was that she was from a different people. Yeah. And so they're putting down their brother because and trying to feel better about themselves as leaders of the people. The gospel reading that we had was Jesus' parable of the generous landowner and the laborers in the vineyard, who he goes out in the morning and hires some people to come and work in the vineyard, goes out again later in the day, and goes out throughout the day, keeps finding more people to hire, and keeps bringing them in, and then at the end of the day pays everybody the same living wage for working for the day. And that the ones who had started on the labor, or started in the morning, even though they got paid what they agreed to, they were mad. They were disgruntled. They didn't want to be, paid the same as the people who just showed up at the end of the day, and there was a big feeling of that's not fair. And both of these stories just point out to us how easy it is for us as humans and how natural it can be to really live into the mindset of scarcity, like there's not enough. Like, and like if you get something good, that means that I can't have it. And so whether that's Miriam and Aaron with their brother Moses is getting this good thing, that means, what does that mean about me? You know, am I unimportant then because he is important? Right. Does that put me down? Or with the people that were happy to take the job in the morning, but then by the end of the day, their pay is different, even though they were happy with it that morning.
Right. They accepted what they were offered. Like they were like, "Yep, I'll work for the whole day for this amount.
I'll work for the whole day. I'll be able to go home and feed myself and my family." And so this is, you know, then a story about, well, how come they get what I have? Mm-hmm. Like there's not enough. Right. And that we often as people we live into that mindset of scarcity, and that we because somebody else has it, that means we can't have it. And I mean, this comes up when I was thinking of the children's message in this story. The image that immediately came to mind was my night every night. So I have two small kids. I got Eden, who's 6, and Josephine, who's 3. And they're not going to listen to this, so I'm going to talk about them a little bit. But every night we kind of have this bedtime routine where we go up and sit in the armchair that's in their room and read a book. Yeah. Each get a bedtime story, and they fight over who gets to go first. Yeah. Every night. Yep. And it's like if they don't get to go first, it's like the world is ending. Nobody loves them. They're going to throw a temper tantrum. They're going to be sad. They're going to cry because they don't get to go first. Yep. Because going first feels special. And going second doesn't feel as special. And so we're obviously working with them on that and trying to teach them how to share and how to, that they're both very well loved and that there is not a scarcity of love to go around. And that's what Jesus' message is really about here too, and God's message with Moses and Aaron and Miriam, is that there's enough love to go around. That just because I love him doesn't mean I don't love you. Mm-hmm. And that it can be hard to be excited for other people if they have something that you want. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because you're talking about your kids, right? And like, I know that as a grown adult, and I have 5 kids of my own, right? Mm-hmm. So I totally get where you're coming from that. But as a kid growing up, I experienced more of the scarcity, even both from finance end of things, but then also from the love. It was kind of cold, realistically, and what that has meant for me in my life when it comes to the relationship with my wife and all of that stuff. And that has been how, so then you think about this countercultural look with God and his love, his abundant love, and it doesn't matter when you came in, like, right, and how that works. It's just, it's very opposite, especially when you're dealing with some sort of trauma like I've dealt with in the past.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being vulnerable and sharing that. It's not easy to grow up with.
No, it's not. And so can you kind of speak to, especially for people who struggle with it, is there a picture? Is there something that could maybe, you talked about even with your own kids, only because like where they're at, right? where they're at, like cognitively and all that stuff. And I think a lot of people don't really understand the extravagance of God's, of his love, right?
Yeah, and there is a great extravagance, and there is, I think God gives us the capacity to feel that, and it's not as far away as we sometimes want to think it is. So the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, they got together and wrote a book together that was based on some conversations that they had before the Archbishop passed, and they got together and just spent a number of days together talking about joy. It was this cross-cultural interfaith conversation around, like, we feel like the meaning of our existence and life is to experience joy as people. That's really like the richness of life. And how do we experience joy? And so Archbishop Desmond Tutu from South Africa, coming from a Christian perspective, and the Dalai Lama from the Tibetan Buddhist perspective, they both agreed on these 7 pillars of joy.
Okay.
But they also talked about 7 barriers to joy, and then guide people into how to work around those through their spiritual practices. One of those barriers is the barrier of envy. And that's the barrier that we're hitting here. And envy is really, it's kind of like jealousy, but it's based on that kind of scarcity. That idea of scarcity is woven in there as well. And that the practice that they give us for how to work around that is to practice and work on dialing into our capacity for empathy. And not just empathy. Often we think of empathy as that capacity that we have when somebody's in pain, somebody's suffering. Like you sharing about a childhood, traumatic experience growing up, and my ability to be like, hey man, that sucks. and to feel that a little bit with you. But we also have that capacity to feel and to come alongside others in the feelings that they share. And that's not just the negative feelings, like the pain feelings, but it can also be the joy feelings, which is actually a lot more fun. And it's harder to do for whatever reason, because the world teaches us to stay away from it. But once you get into it, you're like, well, wait a minute, I do kind of like this. And you can practice that. It's harder, I think, the closer people are to you. But like if you have a delicious lunch, say you've brought something extra tasty.
This is feeling eerily familiar because I think we participated in one of those.
Yeah, we've had lunch together.
Yes, we've had lunch together.
We have had lunch together and shared in a meal. But there is like I can see you enjoying, like, what's your favorite thing to have for lunch? What would be a really great lunch that you'd set on the table?
I mean, I think Thai food is definitely up there.
Yeah.
So let's
Do you have like a particular, you like a pad Thai or a curry or what?
I like all of it. Probably pad Thai was a big thing. So to give a little context, I went to Thailand. I did a bike tour in Thailand from basically the south to the north, 1,500 miles.
Wow.
In 17 days. This was back when I was young.
That was a lot of miles, man.
It was. I think our longest day was 125 miles in one day.
Holy cow.
Our shortest day was kind of a half-ish day, and that was 58. So through all this mountainous terrain. All that to say, I fell in love with Thai food there. But pad Thai is one of those things that I really, really loved. But that's a street food. Just like...
Yeah, it's commonplace. It's out on the street. It's cheap, and
pad Thai.
So let's say you're having a really great. You brought in some pad Thai. You spent some money and really got yourself a nice lunch, and you're enjoying it. Now I can sit across the table with my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I can look at my sandwich, and I can look at you, and I can feel jealous. I might even feel envious, like. I wish I had some of that. my kids would feel mad. Like, I want to eat that.
Yes.
And we often have that problem at our house, is like, oh, he got something that I want to eat. I want to eat that.
Yeah.
And that as soon as you sit down at the table, the thing that they asked for to have, they change their mind because they're having something different. But instead of feeling those things, we also have the capacity just to look at the other person, to see them as a full human being who is also desiring joy and trying to experience joy in this life and wants to experience that happiness, and see the delight that pad thai is bringing you, and just the delicious
Yes.
look on your face, and be like, oh, good for him, good for Ethan. Like, I am so happy that he's happy that he got to have this special meal today, because it looks like it's making him really happy, and his happiness is making me happy. That we can share in that happiness as well. That we can, if we open ourselves up to somebody and see them as that full human person, that is also deserving and desiring of happiness and joy in their life, and is getting to experience something where they feel happiness and joy, that we can have an empathetic joy as well and share in that. And that's not the way that we're usually trained to react in our culture. We're trained to, the phrase "keeping up with the Joneses," to look at what our neighbor has and try and plot and plan for how can I get that for me,
Yes.
instead of just being, well, good for them. I'm glad that they have that,
Right.
and I've got something that things that make me happy too, and I get to just be happy about them.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what we talked about with the kids on Sunday, was how God gives us that power to feel what other people feel, and that is something that we can practice using, especially when other people are feeling joy. Because don't you want to feel joy too?
Oh, absolutely.
And we think the joy is taking the thing from somebody else, but we don't have to do that. We can just feel it.
Right. I mean, imagine if it was something that maybe you didn't even like, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can still be happy for that other person, and it's probably a little bit easier because you're like, no, I don't need that.
Right.
It would probably be
Like my wife when she makes her chicken liver pate,
oh,
which is I'm not a fan of, but you know what? Good for her. I'm glad that she enjoys it and has something that she enjoys so much, and I'm glad.
yeah.
I don't want it on my plate. It can stay over there.
Yes.
But I don't have to like put her down for liking it.
No,
I don't have to complain about it. I can just enjoy it.
It's probably a little, at least initially, it's probably a little bit easier when you're not feeling like that. I want that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It can be. And it's, like, we think that we might grow out of this as we grow up, grow out of that jealousy, that wanting to take the toy away from the kid so that we can play with it. But we really never do. Adults are just big kids, and kids are just small people. That we still have all these same emotions. We might get a little more sophisticated about them, but not much.
Right. Yeah, I love the food dynamic and how you explain that. I think that helps to kind of understand, is just being happy for what the person is experiencing. And is there a way to bring it even further, like celebrating with them, right?
Yeah, can we rejoice with them in their rejoicings? Can we celebrate with them in their joy and share in that? I think of it as, we actually do this somewhat well when we participate in the world as fans of somebody in a fandom. You see, like if I'm watching, I'm from Nebraska, so college football is the big thing in Nebraska, Cornhuskers, and when my Cornhusker team wins a game, which doesn't happen very often lately, but when they do, it means something.
Yes.
And we're coming back. This is going to be a good year. But when they win, like, I didn't play. I didn't buy a ticket to go to the game. I might have like turned it on the radio or found it on the TV and cheered them on.
Yeah.
But I have no participation in their win. And yet when they win, when they complete that pass, like, I can feel over the moon, excited and happy, because I can open myself up and be like, they're a part of me. Like, that team is a part of my identity as a Nebraskan, as a fan. There's part of that. And that we do that with celebrities that we're fans of as well. Like, people will follow the lives of the celebrities that they like, and will, when something good happens for that celebrity, you get excited. And you're like, oh, great, they got a great role in this movie. They were so good at that. I didn't do that. Right. I wasn't a great actor. And yet I can be really excited for them. And when they win an award, an Academy Award, be like, yeah, I really like them. They deserve it. That's great. And I can be happy about that. So we do that well when we're as fans. We experience that sort of that joy when we watch on television or on a show, a series. Maybe it's a reality television show, or it's a rom-com, or it's a series. Like, we can be excited when the characters, when the people get what they're what they're hoping for and experience joy. We feel that too. But as we get closer and closer to our real lives, we forget to be fans of the people around us. We forget to share in the joy of the people around us, because we're taught to be, competitive. That whether some of those lessons are taught in school and class, I like teachers that would grade on the curve and be like, well, only a certain percentage of kids can get A's. Most of you are going to get C's, and no matter where you're going to end up and how you're going to take the test, there are going to be some of you that succeed, while most of you just do okay, and some of you are going to fail. It's just the way the system is.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's, so we're taught to be competitive. We sit down at a table and bring out a game as a kid, and we compete against one another. We were playing Ticket to Ride with my kids the other night. Like, well, if I can win, if I get more trains than you.
Yep.
And so that's the competition then.
Yes.
But there's other lessons to learn. There's lessons about being cooperative, being a good teammate, being a good fan of one another, and that we can open ourselves up to that. And I think, we know what it's like to be a fan. And, well, can I be Ethan's fan? Yeah, I could be your fan.
Take that.
Could I be Pastor Paul's fan? Sure. Like, he gave a great message, and I'm really glad that he gets to do what he does. Yeah. Can I be, Wally the facility guy's fan? You bet I can. Like, Wally's awesome. And I can celebrate with him and enjoy him, and that doesn't get in the way of me feeling like there's something like missing from my life.
Well, I can be your fan, so.
Well, there we go. We share it.
I'm trying to figure out if there is there like we kind of you did talk about a practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Practicing empathy to kind of overcome some of these things. Is there something even like a smaller sort of step or practice that you think can, for people who may not be well practiced in this, or have a hard time and are thinking, oh, I'm still like I have a hard time with this, or due to past experiences, all that stuff, is there like even a more something other type of spiritual practice that we might be able to use? I mean, like, the thing that comes to me right now is sort of like meditation, right? To well, number one, it helps you kind of ground yourself and be able to understand even what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times this stuff is masked by stress or just a bunch of different things that are going on. Do you have any other like spiritual practices or just even general?
I mean, you mentioned meditation, and I think that's a good one and an important one. It's one that that we can certainly turn to, and because I think it does require, when we get caught up in feeling envious, the empathetic joy practice is one that we can train and kind of leads us down a different path. But what if we're already like 5 steps down the envious path? And how do we get back? How do we get that hook out of us? Because it's hard to do. It's there's a natural human inclination. We all feel it. And for let's think about the scripture story. There's Miriam and Aaron who are complaining against Moses. The story goes on that they kind of complain to God. God hears it. The scripture says, and the Lord heard it. God calls the 3 of them all together to the tent of meeting after this. And they come to the tent of meeting, and God says, basically, I've chosen to work with Moses. That's the plan. And that after that, Miriam, who is identified as kind of the ringleader of this jealousy, she's asked to sit outside the camp for a few days. God sends her on a timeout. If you think of parent God, go sit in the corner and think about what you've done. I think there is something in not in like a punitive way, but there is this recognition that sometimes what we have to do when we're getting caught up in a lot of strong feelings is take a break. And that a break is not a timeout, is not a punishment, but it is a chance to just kind of, de-stress a little bit, kind of regulate our emotional systems, and taking a deep breath, and that we can get caught up when we get to feeling big feelings, in this just get ginned up in this like panic mode, and we don't think clearly.
Yeah. And I suppose that's the importance of like rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
The importance of rest is to kind of do that on a regular basis, and especially I think us in American culture, rest is not one of those things.
No, it is not. It is not prioritized. It is sometimes glamorized, but it is always eventually looked down upon. Like if you're resting too much, then you're not part of the hustle. You're not part of the grind. You're not doing what you can. You're not achieving as much as you can do. And so our system, that system of empire, it tells us to always stay in this like super activated mode, and that sometimes the most holy and healing thing that we can do is step back and take a break, and just go for a walk out of town or outside the house. And so, if we're feeling envious or jealous or those other big feelings, if we're getting caught up in kind of that thinking, then a great spiritual practice is just to notice it. Notice, okay, I'm feeling a lot. I need to take a break.
Yeah.
I need to go, like, clear my head, and I can come back to this in a minute, and I'll probably have a different outlook. And if I'm still feeling that, then I need to take more of a break. That's okay.
That's good. It's good words of wisdom. Now, you've been with us for close to 2 months now.
Closing in on 2 months. Yep, 2 months this week.
And I know that you are looking to. So we're gonna kind of.
You bet.
It's a little bit. This is your. I think.
I think we just kind of launched into conversation. We never really did an introduction or anything here.
No, and that's. I guess that's on me, but. Oh well. Let's talk about like what you're looking to do with your engagement piece with both the congregation and really those people outside of the congregation.
My call here at Prince of Peace is a call to this congregation, and I also see it as a call to this community of the South Metro. That as a church, Prince of Peace, we have a vision of being a ministry, not just with the people that are limited by who's on the membership rolls or who shows up for a traditional worship service or a classic worship service. Sorry, traditionalists or classic, whatever. I know we have different words here sometimes. But that we are really in ministry to the whole community, and I think the congregation lived that out. During the tragedy, the Burnsville police and firefighters, when they were killed, this congregation opened their doors and served as a place of spiritual refuge and coming together in vigil for the community. And I think that's really helped to live into what this congregation feels about itself. And just the same with our mission outpost, that it's a part of this congregation's work that is for the whole community. And that's the people that we love when we say we love God and love people is the whole people of the South Metro. And so my call is a call of engagement, and that's really engaging people that are a part of this congregation that have felt like there's not a lot for them, or not things that they are finding deep connection with and creating new places of connection, specifically people in kind of that gap that we see in church from when people kind of grow up and are no longer in the high school youth program or our youth programs, but they also don't fit in with all of the senior groups that we have. That there's a gap in there of connection and belonging and deep engagement. And so my call is to find ways to gather people in ways that do feel engaging, that do feel like places of depth and healing and joy and community. And that isn't just inwardly focused, but it's got very porous boundaries and is a ministry that we're seeking to really see as a ministry to the whole South Metro. And that we want to gather in new ways in faithful community across the South Metro. And so there's a number of different, like, we can gather in all sorts of different ways. I've had conversations about just in the last 24 hours about, well, can we gather and do something regularly in breweries? Can we gather and do something regularly at the arcade in St. Paul, where you can go and play retro games all day? Can we gather and do something in community on the trails? And like, can we go on faithful hikes together and experience God in nature in that way? And those are just like a couple ideas. We might try some of those things. We might try all those things. We're certainly going to try a ton of things. And that there are ways of gathering as Christian community that don't look like like what a congregation usually offers with a worship service, and even as a traditional small group where you're getting around and sitting and just talking or studying scripture or a story or something like that.
Right. So if people want to kind of get in on the ground floor, or they have big ideas like these great ideas like brewery and everything else, like what's the best way to sort of get that conversation going? I hear you do. You meet up with people. We've gone on a walk together.
Oh yeah, there's some prayer walks coming up throughout the second half of August. There's a schedule of prayer walks that you can join me on. Either kind of at the beginning of the workday or towards the end of the workday. We're going to be just gathering at different places across the South Metro, and this is the first big batch of them. We're going to do, I think, 7 of them in August, and then more in September, and we'll see how far into October we get before the weather starts changing on us. But that we'll be gathering, and this is also to get out in the community, explore the community, see the places of the spiritual word is consolation. Where is God's Spirit moving and working to kind of bring people to wholeness? And what are the places of desolation? Where are people hurting? Where does God feel absent in our community? And to open ourselves in prayer to celebrate in those joyful moments and to ponder and pray about the difficult ones.
What does that look like? I know, like, some people might think, prayer, I don't know really how to pray. Like, what do you envision that looking like? Obviously, it can look in a multitude of ways, but what, like, coming down to the granular level, what do you see that looking like as like a prayer walk?
Yeah. So just very nuts and bolts. What a prayer walk looks like is we'll gather at a place. Usually, I think most of them I picked like a park that hopefully has a parking lot or some street parking we can park at. We'll gather and just ground ourselves for a moment together as whoever shows up, and then we often think of prayer as how do we ask God for things, and like it's my spiritual God honey-do list. Do these things for me. Help me get through the stress of this day. Help me finish this project. Help me. I'm feeling, I got this sickness. Heal me. And those are good prayers, and I think that's a part of prayer life is petitioning, asking for things, praying on others' behalf, or on our own. And but a deeper level of prayer, if you take it and go deeper with it, is that prayer is our way of just having a rendezvous with God in a daily sort of practice sort of way, and that it's a bit different than meditation, where often in meditation we kind of draw our focus inward. We might focus on our breath. We might meditate on a word or a piece of scripture or a painting or a candle flame or a sound, and we kind of focus in. Prayer is it can look like that, but it can also look like just taking a listening posture, and I think that's where the power of prayer really starts to work on us, is when we use prayer as a means of opening ourselves up to God and to the world around us. And so going on a prayer walk, it's not going to be I think of the scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where the monks are out like walking around and Dominus Requiem and smacking their heads with the Bible. That's not what we're going to do. It's not going to be like chanting and wandering around. It's just walking with that open spiritual posture, listening to the sounds and the community around us, noticing what we hear, and holding that with that sort of spiritual attention. And so that's what we're going to be doing as we walk together. And we'll walk, probably for about half an hour. It's not super long, enough to go about a mile or a little more, depending on how fast you walk, and just noticing what's around the neighborhood. And then we'll gather back up at the end of that and share what we saw, just share what we noticed, and then those noticings, then we'll continue to hold those in prayer as a community as we think about how are we going to be in ministry with this whole region.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds like a great opportunity for people to get involved with. Thanks, Rory, so much for sitting in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Hopefully it didn't feel too.
It's not too hot. It's all right.
On Paul's behalf, again, thank you for being a part of this, being in the audience, listening. You can, if people want to get involved with the engagement piece,
yes,
what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
There is a Pop Engage newsletter that has information about our upcoming events, and there is, if you can go to our website at popmn.org. There you go. And
do you know which is it under the register tab? Or?
It's not up there yet, okay. But hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, it will be. Okay. And so it'll be out there. There's information about how to subscribe to that, which will keep you up to date on the engagement things that I'm specifically working on.
Can they also email you?
Yeah, they can certainly email me. Find my contact information on the web.
On the screen.
Oh, look at that.
I know, man.
That's fancy. That's right here.
Yep. Exactly. Again, thank you again for being a part of this and listening. You can like and subscribe and share, whether it's on YouTube or listening on Spotify. I don't think we have that many out there right now currently, but again, this is the Trust the Story podcast, and thanks for being with us. Thanks again, Rory, and
thank you.
See you next week.
Sounds good.